And this week on Thursday, we will see Nebraska and Cincinnati go head-to-head at Arrowhead Stadium. This is the first meeting between these two teams since 1906. And if you're wondering, Nebraska did win that game. Things are probably a little different than they were 118 years ago, but we'll find out soon enough. Here's more on what to expect from Nebraska quarterback Dylan Raiola and company.
Our squad is there. It's just like, it's just taking that step of like, yo, I'm going to take this upon myself and go do it. And I think there's so much power in that.
For
and
sure.
So, like, kind of empowering all of us and all the guys in that locker room to kind of do something that, we win a natty here where our lives will change forever. Like, that's a crazy feeling to have, but it can actually be reality, with the guys.
It will be reality.
Yeah. Season begins, week 1, Arrowhead. Kansas City.
Thursday night
Thursday
football.
night, we the only show on TV.
Thursday night football.
Hey, these boys gonna be playing on Sunday, so they might as well be used to playing on Thursday night. But
very exciting, very exciting.
The boys are hyped. I absolutely love it. You could watch that full conversation, by the way, this Saturday, 1:30 Eastern Time on CBS. For much more on this, let's go ahead and welcome in Chip Patterson. Chip, it's so great to see you. You just heard that clip from quarterback Dylan Raiola. He enters his second season. What are your expectations for him? How can he really take that next step?
A couple things that stand out to me. Number one, we need more consistency on a week-to-week basis. Number two, we need to be better against the best. And Jordan, what I mean by that is you look at the totals, 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. You would think it's a mediocre season, but the highs were very high. The problem is you threw 3 interceptions against Indiana. You threw 2 interceptions against USC. You threw an interception in a close loss to Illinois. In the Big Ten, the margins are razor thin. And when you are the quarterback, the most important position on the field, you cannot be the reason why you are putting your team behind the 8 ball. And so for Dylan Raiola, it was baptism by fire. A true freshman thrown into the middle of a very difficult situation. But I think that is what was always the plan. You let him get in there. You let him get comfortable. The true talent showed. Now he spends the whole offseason reviewing the game tape and figuring out the way that he can improve when it comes to that decision making. Because if he can do a better job of finishing the season strong, if he can do a better job of limiting those turnovers against the very best teams in the Big Ten, then Nebraska is a team that not just should take a step forward in the win column, but could be knocking on the door of the college football playoff if they are able to max out at peak efficiency. But all that starts with the former 5-star prospect with his royal bloodlines getting it done and being a difference maker at quarterback in Dylan Raiola.
Raiola entering his second season. His head coach, Matt Rhule, enters his third at the helm. An interesting note to point out here, Chip, that I want to show you. Junior years for Matt Rhule have been good to him. Take a look at his history and what he's been able to do in year 3 at the helm as his time as head coach. And Temple, he went from 6-6 in year 2 to 10-4 at Baylor. He went from 7-6 to 11-3. Are good things on the horizon for Matt Rhule in year 3, in your opinion?
I think it is without a doubt a step forward in the win column. 4 wins would be a lot, Jordan. That's a pretty good conference there in the Big Ten. I don't know if we're going to get all the way to 11, but the reason why I think this happens is twofold. Number one, a compliment to Matt Rhule. He is a program builder. He is someone who wants to address the culture, who wants to be able to get guys that are going to buy in. They have flipped the roster in a major way in terms of being able to get Nebraska-approved players in his eyes of what Nebraska football should be. But number two is also the situation. Matt Rhule has taken jobs, especially Baylor and Nebraska, of proud programs that were just in total disrepair. Nebraska obviously bottoming out with Scott Frost. And so Matt Rhule had to come in and he had to change the mentality. Remember all those 1-score losses under Scott Frost? Matt Rhule has even had a couple of those 1-score losses, but he's had to repair the emotional and mental damage to be able to show them that it is possible. Yes, possible to win in those 1-score games. And so the reason why I think Matt Rhule in these year 3s takes a step forward is he is not a transfer portal microwave results kind of coach. He needs to build this brick by brick. He needs to build this in his image, and I think that is why we've seen that improvement. Again, I'm not ready to say another 4-win jump like we saw at Temple and Baylor, but I am willing to say this is a dangerous team that will take a step forward in the win column.
History in his favor. It's worked out in the past. We'll wait and see. Nebraska will, though, be under a microscope both on defense and offense as they have two new coordinators. What are you wanting to see under some of this new leadership?
For offensive coordinator Dana Holgorsen. We remember him as a head coach of West Virginia at Houston. Excellent offensive mind. And I think Matt Rhule did a great job of allowing him to step into that role mid-season of last year. Not something you normally see, but I think that has allowed Dylan Raiola and Dana Holgorsen to establish that trust and the relationship that will allow the offense to be, and I'm being very serious here, one of the best offenses in the Big Ten this season. Now, the defensive replacement is going to be a little bit more interesting because Tony White left Nebraska to go be the new DC at Florida State, as you know, Jordan, and Florida State is thrilled to have Tony White there. Can Nebraska be able to avoid a huge step back on the defensive side while they are taking a step forward on the offensive side? Nebraska was 7-6 last season with a lot of low-scoring wins. I think it will have to be a different identity where the highs on the offense might mean they have to outscore a little bit of a regression on defense.
Let's switch gears here to Cincinnati, who's looking for a real fresh start after ending the 2024 season at 0-5. What are they going to have to do to really take the next step in 2025?
Number one, they need some better injury luck. I mean, they were losing defensive linemen left and right. And when you are at a program like Cincinnati, you have not necessarily built out the competitive depth to maintain the same level of success when you're losing key players like defensive linemen and having to go to your second and third stringers. So if they can avoid losing the Godfather, Dante Corleone, if they can avoid losing all of those difference makers up front, then we should see them do a much better job on the defensive side. But I'm also really thinking about what they can do as one of the more dynamic rushing attacks in the Big 12, because head coach Scott Satterfield, back to Louisville, back all the way to his time at App State, he has had a zone running scheme that keeps defenses guessing, keeps defenses off balance, and allows for some real explosive plays. The Bearcats are not going to be able to overwhelm a lot of opponents on their schedule with talent, but they are solid enough, particularly along the defensive line and with the run game, that they are dangerous against almost everybody on their schedule. And so that's why they can't have the same kind of injury luck, because the margins are very, very thin for Cincinnati.
Cincinnati hoping to be more of a contender also in the Big 12. Cincinnati led by quarterback Brendan Sorsby. Where does he rank, though, for you among quarterbacks in the Big 12 and all the competition?
So I actually sat down to put some numbers to names, right? I'm not just going to throw this out there without doing my homework.
No.
Jordan, you know me. So I'm willing to go top half, top 8. There's 16 teams in the Big 12, definitively top 8, and probably closer to 5 or 6 than you might realize. We just saw Rocco Becht and Avery Johnson. Granted, it was rainy, it was Ireland, it was week 0. But when I think about what Brendan Sorsby can do as a runner, as a dual threat quarterback, and what Brendan Sorsby has done at his best, I think he could be just as good as an Avery Johnson or a Rocco Becht. The problem is he has not always had the consistency. He's had some of the same turnover interception issues that we've seen from Dylan Raiola, his opponent on Thursday night. So Brendan Sorsby, who again joined the program coming out of the MAC, a lot of excitement. I could put together a super cut of clips where you're like, wow, that's a top 3 quarterback in the Big 12. The problem is the lowlights need to be included as well. So when I put it all on average, top 8 without a doubt, and probably closer to 5 or 6 than you might realize.
Sounds good to me. Lastly, every year coaches enter on or off the hot seat to the season. Like Matt Rhule, Scott Satterfield is also entering his year 3 at the helm. But is his seat getting a little warm, Chip?
Yes, it is. You've got to remember his arrival at Cincinnati comes with the program in transition. When Luke Fickell leaves to go take over at Wisconsin, he kind of stepped out the side door at Louisville as the pressure was starting to ramp up as well. This was never a hire where you felt like you went out to get the big fish. You needed somebody. He was capable. He was there. And that kind of settling relationship has always left his future a little bit difficult to call. So I will say that if Scott Satterfield cannot get Cincinnati to the postseason, it's at least going to be a difficult conversation. If no action is taken in that situation, he enters next year near the top of a lot of the hot seat conversations. I would not list him as a top 5, top 8 coach in terms of our hot seat rankings, but there is without a doubt pressure, real job pressure on Scott Satterfield to be able to show he's the man for the job for a proud Cincinnati program that right now is struggling to find its footing in the Big 12. well.
We'll see if he starts things off on the right note. Nebraska and Cincinnati Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Arrowhead Stadium. Is Taylor Swift going to be in attendance? Travis Kelce's alma mater. Chip pointed it out earlier on network. We will wait and see. Always great to see you, my friend. Great stuff. Great insight, as always, here on CBS Sports Network. As I mentioned earlier, you can watch that full conversation with Dylan Raiola, the quarterback of Nebraska, right now on the college football YouTube page for CBS Sports. All you got to do, scan that QR code on your screen. We make it easy for you around here.